My name is Bruce, and today, we are reviewing Janet and the 1972 classic, Mario Puzo's The Godfather. Janet, you selected this movie, although both of us agree this film is a fantastic piece.
Yeah,
Uh,
wonderful piece of art.
when did you see this movie first?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't think it was right when it came out. I think it was on TV at home, but I was a teenager.
Okay. When you watched it, did they like split it into two parts one night and then the next night?
No, it was on. I think it was on a VHS tape or something.
Okay.
So we had the whole thing. We had popcorn and all that good stuff.
See, this movie came out in 72, and when they were filming it, they the studio head, after seeing all the dailies submitted,
Hmm.
Coppola thought that he had a complete movie, and the studio thought you hadn't gone far enough with the family. You need to go and add some more family dynamics in there. And so he went back and he added it to where it's now like 2 hours and 55 minutes or something like that. Uh, which is a huge part. It's the main part of this movie is like when Godfather says you're not a man unless you're with your family. You know,
Yeah,
you're working with your family all the time. And I kind of felt that kind of on the back end because or like a backhanded slap, like, oh, you left Illinois, you left your family there, huh? Oh yeah, I did. Oops.
well,
Oh,
it has a lot to do, I think, with them being from Italy.
yes.
They're family oriented. They believe in lots of children because
Hmm.
that's your legacy is your children, your grandchildren. So they're adamant about that and about family values, not so much the men not cheating and things like that, but keeping the families together, protecting your wife and your children, things like that, and providing good, trying to provide for them. So
Completely
that is
agree
one
with that.
reason why, The Godfather was. I liked it because I think that was one of the things that people liked about it was the fact that, even though they were pissed off at their sibling or their sister or their brother did some stupid shit, they were still willing to kick some ass for them, even though they humiliated themselves or the family.
Every family has a Fredo, and it doesn't matter
Mhm.
what nationality you are. Everybody's got a Fredo in their family that he goes out and he gets too distant from the family and he starts doing things kind of against his own morality, against his family's upbringing. You know, and
Yeah,
it happens. Every family has that, and
black sheep.
yeah, he really was.
Yeah.
The book doesn't spare any criticism from him either. Uh, this that was my introduction to it. I'd always had the book on the shelf, and I moved to Peoria because things were not great in Decatur. I grabbed a hold of a copy of the book, and I started reading it. I devoured it within a week. I read it 3 times within like a month, and then I was with this
Mhm.
lady who she was into mafiosos and Italian horror films. So I'm like, okay, we'll watch it. We'll watch the Godfather. And she's like, you've never seen it? No, I just finished reading it. Yeah, I know you wouldn't put that book down. You even ignored Nights Out with me. I'm like, it wasn't ignoring Nights Out with you. I offered to read the book to you,
Mhm.
and that to me, like that's a symbolic offer when a man and woman are reading to each other. That's like the most intimate, lovey-dovey stuff you can have in a relationship, basically, because it's just you and them and a book, and one of you is presenting to the audience, which is your spouse. And I wanted that. I wanted that. And she thought that was like, oh, it's gay. I'm like, you fucking harlot, you know. And that was like the start of our breakup. Within like a week and a half, we were done, and I was so happy that it was over. I know that sounds bad, but
Well, the thing is that
okay.
honestly, if a person you're with doesn't let you be who you are, I don't think you'd want to be with them anyways. You know,
No,
to be accepting of each other's, if one person likes to read and the other one likes to watch movies on TV, or play games, or crochet or do crafting or whatever, if you
can,
try to stop them from doing those things, I don't think that's the person I would want to be with, if you know what I'm saying.
okay,
So
you've known me for over 2 years. We're going on.
yeah.
We've known each other for 3 years. We've been doing this for about two.
Hmm.
And can you imagine knowing Bruce if he didn't play role playing games?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay, this
Or
person,
doing what you're doing right now.
yeah, this lady
See,
didn't want
yeah.
me to, she didn't want me involved with this. She hated this stuff.
Well,
So,
you would be miserable.
exactly. So I got out of
So,
that relationship, and life has been on this steady climb ever since then.
that's good. And you found a better woman
Yeah, I sure did. She lets me play.
that accepts you for who you are. And that's what every person wants, to find someone they can fall in love with, that lets them be themselves. As long as you also let them be themselves, then
Yeah,
you have a good relationship. And that's important. I wish everyone could have that.
we try. We try. So, um,
Yeah, but I just, there's just so many things about this movie. Everything. I mean, it's really, you really have to really dig around just to try to see if you can find any flaws in it, you know, because they
there,
did such
there's
a good job with details.
there's very few flaws in this movie. Now,
Hmm.
there's differences between the book in this film, but
Hmm.
not a lot of differences in the least bit. Um, After I watched this movie a couple times, and I really began to appreciate the joy for what it is,
Yeah.
because at first I was upset they didn't really go into Neri's relationship with Michael, and the last third of the book, as Vito's getting older and Michael is assuming more and more duties, he gets into Nero or Al Neri, the former NYPD, and he gets to know this guy, and Neri, you want to buy him a beer or coffee. You want this guy as part of your group, as part of your
Hmm.
team, as part of your friends, because he's not only a man of action and gets it done, but he does things and he holds his word and he's loyal. And he's finally the individual that Michael gets to where he feels like I have my Luca Brasi. Now, in the movies, Luca Brasi has a fairly imposing presence about him. In the book, you find out why people fear Luca Brasi, the horrible thing that he did, and just I mean, you realize the guy just doesn't have a compromise. He does not chill, and it's better that he died the way he did. But it's far into the book, and as a reader, you kind of reflect on that because for a while there, you were really sympathetic to Luca Brasi, not knowing the levels, the depravity he would stoop to get his agenda finished. And the
Hmm.
movies don't really give you that. Even the combination, what do they call it? The Godfather saga, which is a one and two complete. They don't really give you that because they didn't record that. You have to read the book, which it's not a bad thing. And the book is fairly easy to read. I mean, when I'm saying it's easy to read, I'm not saying it's for like sixth graders, but I'm saying it's for people that want a book that will entertain them, and it does with every page. It's a very good book about anti-heroes, as Six Nation 31 Kings says.
Yeah. Yeah, I had I was really shocked at a few things, like the actress that played Anna, is that what her name was?
Apollonia?
No. Uh wasn't her name what was her name? Al Pacino's girlfriend.
Which one?
The
K?
first one.
K?
Kay, yeah, Kay, that's the one. I couldn't believe it was Diane Keaton because I didn't think she looked anything like her. Because the only one I remembered was the older one, that dressed in the guy's clothes with the tie and stuff. I don't remember what show that was. But I remember my mom had that
I
movie.
try to remember what Diane Keaton looks like in this movie, and then I ignore everything after 74 for her because she hits this wall. My bad. I know I'm being sexist, but she
Well,
just
the thing is
never
that I didn't
feels.
recognize her. I kept saying, "Who is this woman?" I kept trying, and then I didn't want to leave because I wanted to watch the movie, but I was trying to remember the actress, and I was just surprised when I found out it was Diane Keaton because I didn't think it looked like her. She looked very different when she was young compared to what she looks like now. I mean, for her side profile and everything, she just didn't look to me. It just didn't look like her. But
Well, to
but
me,
now her acting was about the same. Wasn't.
Diane Keaton. After I got out of the service and after I went to school for a bit, I got into movies for a little bit just as a consumer. And a friend of mine's like, "Oh, you like Warren Beatty because you like these films here. You got to check out Reds. It's really good." And Reds is about a journalist that gets involved with the Communist Party, and she hopes to bring that spirit and idealism to the United States. It's Warren Beatty and Diane Keaton pretty much just playing themselves. And okay, maybe she's not a completely hardcore sympathizer for Che Guevara, but she just, to me, she never, after that movie, everything from there on, completely, every movie she was in, I'm not going to watch it. I could go through her entire IMDb post 1981, and I can tell you I never saw it. I was completely happy. If Diane Keaton or Jane Fonda are in the film, absolutely not. Go fuck yourself.
Well, after I got a chance to look at some of the I was trying to look up any kind of trivia and stuff like that about the movie before we watched it, and I did find out that they threatened to fire the director, Coppola, because they wanted him to let Michael kill the two characters. The way that they changed that one scene up. And so, which executive producers, it's like I said, the ones who put up all the money get to have things changed or moved around or have their kids on set, and filmed in the movie, things like that. So couldn't find anything. I tried to see if there was anybody whose kid was in the movie or they got put in there in different parts or whatever.
So this entire movie is Coppola's. This entire movie is Coppola's. Okay, you got Sofia Coppola is playing Michael or little baby Michael in the baptism scene. Carmine Coppola.
No, I meant producers' kids. That's what I was looking for, because that's usually what happens.
Francis's dad played the piano during the piano scene when they're showing you all the
Yeah, because he got a good face shot when they you're talking about the part where he went to Vegas.
No, I'm talking about where they show you all the newspaper clippings where
okay,
the piano is being played. That's their father. That's Carmine Coppola, and that entire scene was edited by George Lucas as a thank you because Lucas asked him for help while he was doing THX 1138, and he owed like $400,000 to Francis Ford Coppola. So like there was a sizable amount of loss on Coppola for that. And so that was part of George Lucas's. I apologize. Here's some work I can do for you. Here's what I can scratch your back with. And it seemed like it. It seemed like if you are going for nepotism, this movie's all Coppola's. Although there's no Nick Cage in it, but there is the
Yeah.
Carlos, the guy that plays Talia Shire's husband in the movie. He had
Hmm.
some mafia friends send them a demo tape, and Marlon Brando was against this guy because he never done film. He's never been involved with this. Nah, get out of here. And this guy gets pissed off, and he sends a demo tape of him being pissed. And Marlon Brando sees the demo tape. He's like, "Holy shit, the kid can act. He's good. Yeah, bring him in." He wasn't
Yeah, because
realizing that he was being serious.
yeah, the
He
other
was,
part that I read was that he fought to keep the story as a period drama, which I'm so thankfully did, because that to me was one of the classic uh, things about this whole movie is the nostalgia that you feel as you're watching it, uh, based in New York City. I just love that because it said as a cost cutting measure, Paramount asked Coppola to modernize the script. So the action took place in 1972 and to shoot the movie in Kansas City. It says, as a stand in for the more expensive New York City, and Coppola convinced them to keep the story in a post World War II New York setting to maintain integrity of the film. And I'm glad he did because to me, that was just.
it would have lost a lot of character.
And the thing is, yeah, I would have lost a lot of character. But the thing is, I don't care if you watch this another 100 years from now. A lot of people are going to watch it and they will be able to just tell that it was filmed in New York. Period. Just because of the way that the city looks compared to any other city. You know what I mean? I think it was a really smart move on his part to keep this a classic that will never be old. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
I just
And
love breathtaking his
the
choices.
I I didn't realize that the cinematographer Gordon Willis,
Hmm.
he's the one responsible for the tone of the film for the most part. Coppola and him didn't really get along well. I just found this out today when I was just reading up on it, but they uh, they thought that, like, with all the arguments going on, that those two were going to get to blows. And at one point, the actor that played Clemenza
Uh-oh.
gets what? Are
Is
you
that on
there?
my end or on Bruce's end? Can you guys still see me?
I can see you.
Okay, well, was I stopped?
No,
Okay, well, you stopped. I couldn't see you or anything. So I thought that was weird. Sorry.
it's Louisiana net. My bad. Arkansas net. My bad. The uh, the arguments between the cinematographer and the director were pretty legendary.
Hmm.
And the guy that played Clemenza, he one day got in between these two very large individuals, and he tries playing the part of the mediator,
Hmm.
and he pissed off Francis Ford Coppola. He pissed off Coppola so bad that the very end of the movie, reportedly, there's 20 takes they made him do going up the 4 flights of stairs, which is why at the very end he looks like he's getting ready to fall over.
Oh, he
Poor
did. He
Richard
looked
S.
so tired. He was so worn out, but he's a chubby kind of guy.
Richard S. Castellano. He was a very very talented actor, but man, he was not a skinny fit man at all.
Mm-mm.
Um,
And he wasn't young.
no, he was middle aged by that time. I think.
Hmm.
Let me check this out, guys. The guy's been he was in 30, alive from 38 to 88, so he made it 55 years for a big guy. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And I think this movie does a really good job of showcasing his talent, 'cause he comes off as just a very good everyman, that's got a position of authority and responsibility and limited responsibility. He's not anybody, that, we can't replace. But for being Clemenza, he does a very good job as being someone who's trying to make sure Vito's kids aren't stepping on their own dicks and hurting the family name in the process. I absolutely loved his character role in this. But
Mhm.
when I saw The Godfather Part 2, Bruno Kirby played skinny Clemenza or younger Clemenza. And it's funny because in the book, when they talk about younger Clemenza, he wasn't as heavy as he was then, but he still had this hearty laugh, which would kind of give you a hint later on he was destined to be greater in size.
Mhm.
And it's kind of funny. Mario Puzo was a very, to me, he was one of the funniest authors at the time, and for him to write so seriously or about such a serious topic, but able to keep it to where it was digestible and light, and he still had some funny stuff in the pages. That's a mark of a good author.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when I read that the reason Coppola cast Diane Keaton. Remember, I wanted to look her up because I was
Mhm.
like unique, different looking. She wasn't real pretty, but she wasn't dog ugly. Yeah, I don't know. She was like right down the middle,
He's
and she
handsome.
was very, very plain. She just
Yeah,
wasn't. I don't know. I was expecting the woman that was going to end up with basically. One of the stars of the show to be more attractive. That's why when he went into and he courted the young woman, Apollonia or whatever her name was,
yeah.
that he would she was pretty. I mean,
She was
she was adorable. She had this innocent quality about her, and she was just very typical
womanly,
what you'd expect
beautiful,
a young woman that
brilliant.
was basically doing everything she
Her
could to be a good wife.
she looked like she was ready to bear kids at the wedding.
But she was
I
going
mean,
to be obedient. You know what I'm
oh,
saying? And she was,
amazing.
but she was joyful, and I don't know. She just seemed like the typical woman that someone in this type of family would want to marry. So when he was dating this girl, she was like, she stuck out like a sore thumb.
She
But so
does.
when I read, I guess she does in the book too. But when I
Yeah.
read about why he cast her, he said, in order to bring some life to the straight, boring character, because basically, I guess that's what she was in the book. He said,
She's
so
boring.
with Diane Keaton, who he described as eccentric and kind of weird. I thought that was really interesting because she is, she's very, there's something about her that you even though she's a very boring and not attractive, whatever, you can't, you'll remember her later when you see her again because there's something, different about her. And so he did a great job picking her, for that character because she was that character. You see what I mean? Just
I
like,
hate I hate to agree and give her any I hate to give her any beneficial discussion.
but
I
I
don't
know me too in a way, but she was perfect for somebody who's just boring, I just a typical, just doesn't have a life. Basically, she didn't do anything. She was just very a book reader,
just
bookworm, marm, basically,
I
and
don't
she
I don't
did.
even think she's that interesting.
I did. I thought she was okay. I mean, she had something that first attracted him to her in the first place, and that's probably what it was. It was the fact that she was so uh, boring that she stuck out. That so it drew him to her, and the fact that she was blonde, probably.
Yeah.
But she wasn't built like a brick house, or she just didn't have anything that stood out where you'd see a bunch of men running to her side. And maybe that's another reason why he was interested in her, maybe for a wife, because no one else would be interested in her. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I mean, it's
I
kind of
mean,
mean, but
maybe she seriously maybe okay,
oh,
we've got
Caroline said stability.
yeah,
So he knew
she's
she'd be there for
very
him later.
very stable person.
Mhm.
She would be boring as hell, the same missionary style sex every Sunday
Yeah,
night after 60 minutes, and
maybe.
you'll get maybe 2.5 kids out of her before she starts getting upset and asking for a uterus removal or whatever they do.
Or she had a headache every night.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I
but
guess that would make sense. But I just
and
thought it was very funny when I read that about her.
and at the time, I mean, when Michael, just for Michael's character, he tried to get away from family business.
Hmm.
And so what he did first was he went and joined the army and was a war hero. He comes back and he's got the least Sicilian wife girlfriend prospect ever. He's got this woman that sticks out like a sore thumb among all the other Italian women. I mean, you
Hmm.
got Sony's wife at the wedding. There's a portion of this at the wedding of this movie. The first 15 minutes is a perfect. If you've never hung out with Italians, Roman Catholics, and you've been to one of their weddings, you don't you this is the closest you'll get.
Yeah,
And this lady is there and she's telling her husband, "You be careful, you keep your dick in your pants," because she
yeah,
knows her husband. And then she
hmm,
goes and sits with her friends and she's there gesturing from like this to this to this. She's talking about his dick
yeah,
and highlighting like the thing that gets him in trouble the most is the thing that she loves the most about him. And then that's in the book, but
hmm,
she does that and she's showcasing that. Then you get to see the rest of the family, and Vito's there pissed off because his son's not there and
yeah,
he's not abiding by his father and his family's rules, like be here for family, be here for family. And then when he arrives, he's got K on his arm. This, ugh, yeah, like I can't even masturbate to her when she's like that young. Okay, you have to
yeah,
be a fucking 3 to not even make you stiff when somebody's young and supposed to be hot. All right,
yeah.
there's nothing. so
So funny.
so like I'm watching this movie and I'm like, God, she's just like the book.
And
And
that's why he did her. That's why he picked her. Is he wanted
and
to fill the role with the person he felt, but she's a good actress.
she's a
Well,
great
she could
actress.
definitely act. So he did a great job. I mean, honestly, whoever the casting director was did an awesome job at picking some of the people they picked,
Oh, this
even
movie
though
cast is
a
so good.
lot of the producers and stuff for the movie didn't like his choices. Like I was reading that it said Paramount didn't want Marlon Brando for the character.
No,
Okay,
they didn't want Al
they
Pacino
wanted
for Michael either.
Lawrence Oliver's who they wanted.
Oh my
From
God! Could
what I
you
was
imagine?
reading.
There's a lot of drinking that would have happened on set. All that
Oh, I
wine would
know.
have been down his throat.
Hmm.
Um,
But
I,
they said, however, during a screen test, it's not something Brando would normally agree to. So Coppola lured the famously cagey actor into what he called a makeup test, in which, in reality, was a screen test, and the studio demanded it. Right. So when
Mhm.
Coppola showed up, the studio with the footage, the executive didn't even recognize Brando under the makeup and were impressed enough to add him to the cast. So basically, he tricked. See, he's a smart man. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows what he wants. He visualized what he wants and how it's going to appear on screen, and he does. And he thinks about how can I finagle these people to get in here where I want them, and put the puzzle pieces together without all these people bitching and moaning about it because I'm going to make this movie. And that's basically what he did, and that's why he was so successful. Is
did you
because he
read?
didn't know for an answer.
Did you read about the part where Coppola gets everybody in a dress rehearsal, their outfits for the film,
Oh, for
and then
dinners?
he has dinners. He has
Yeah, I
everybody
think
in
it's
dinners,
great.
just
Hmm.
like you're gonna. No, this is how you're gonna be with each other. You're gonna look all like this. Everybody here, you're gonna be doing your thing. And you didn't do that with the Sicilian
Yep.
cast. The Sicilian cast was different. The Sicilian portion of the movie is a little bit shy on the meat of what's in the book, but that
You can
it still works
tell
out.
they didn't, um, you could tell that when they did do the parts for that, they seemed like they had a limited budget because they only had a couple of camera angles compared to other shots that they had in New York, and a limited cast. You know what I mean? And only in a certain little area where they could even film. So, you know, but they did that, I think, on purpose to make it look like wine country, grape farming and all that kind of stuff. So they did a good job at giving you the visual in your mind, just like you were saying. You didn't have to have all the gore and a lot of different things, because just seeing the act or knowing what was about to happen put it in your head. So you already had a vision in your head because you already know what the characters look like. You didn't need all the tiny details put in exactly to envision it. You see,
I would have liked it. I would have liked it. The one thing, if they would have gotten Angelo Infanti, what he played Fabrizio. Fabrizio in the book had this really interesting tattoo on his stomach where this husband caught his wife and another guy having sex, and so the husband was jabbing a bloody knife at them, and if Fabrizio gestured his stomach muscles enough, it looked like it was an animated thing where the husband was stabbing the shit out of both of them. And in the movie, they didn't do that because this guy's not going to get a fucking stomach tattoo for 2 weeks worth of shooting. But it's fine. This movie took a full total of 60 days to shoot. I think the Italy side, the Sicilian sequence was like maybe 10 to 12 days.
Yeah,
and they did some amazing part
about
that they got Vitelli's entire family rounded up and all the people cast for that, and everybody to follow Apollonia and Michael through the fields, while they're walking and getting to know each other and have their dinners. It was really well put together, and
they did a great job. But the thing is, if you think about it, there is no way at all, I don't care who the director is or who the actors were, that they could film this same movie today in 60 days. There's no freaking way.
Started in March, ended in May. That's
it's
crazy.
Amazing. The fact that he was able to finagle all these people to get them to do such phenomenal jobs for their characters and follow the character arcs to draw you in as a viewer and want to root for the right people. You know what I mean? And I mean, just everything about it, the rich texture when it came to the locations and the costumes, the cars, just so much in it. It was just phenomenal. Every detail. It was like he walked around probably with that stick with the little square on it constant to see exactly what was going to be in every frame. It seemed like that has how meticulous it seemed like he must have been to get such a I mean, it was just wonderful, every inch of it. I was absorbing the information, and I've seen it like 7 times, I guess, and it's still, each time I watch it, it's like getting to watch it almost for the first time, because it's so much in it. It's so much culture, and the authentic speaking in Italian and stuff like that even adds more richness and character to the movie, to me, from my point of view, when I was watching it. But did you know that Robert De Niro auditioned for the part of Sonny?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I'm pretty happy he didn't get it. I'm happy he went and played Vito Corleone later.
Yeah, later on. But yeah, me too, because I'm looking at him in this picture that I'm seeing, and I really like James Caan a lot better. I thought he did a really good job.
And I mean, they did this movie. They opened up in March of '72, and that was at the State Theater and Lowe State Theater. Then in the United States, 10 days later, on March 24th, they spent $7.2 million on it. So maybe $8 million, including marketing back then, but it raked in $250 million minimum.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is probably the best movie that's ever been made for that time and for the genre it completely has defined the gangster mafia genre, I think, of
And
any culture. And I'm not
yeah,
just saying
and
Italian American. I'm saying like Yakuza, or if the Africans have
yeah.
a gangster culture. I think
Mhm.
this defines that culture very fucking well.
Well, the wedding scene, the towards the beginning of the movie, where you had a lot of extras in it. Okay, and anytime you have a lot of extras, you're going to have people falling down, people coughing, people not following continuity. You just have a lot of problems, and the fact that I think he treated his extras differently than because most scenes you don't have any extras in it. Almost all the movie is particularly around the certain characters. That's it, and it's all you see because they're so secretive. They have to go from one place to another. Then they have meetings and different things like that, and so they didn't need it. But in the few scenes that they did have extras, like the funeral and the wedding and the baptism, the people sitting in the seats, little things like that, you
Mhm.
want it to be more authentic. So you need to have people walking and shopping or driving cars, things like that, for the movement and everything, to make it more authentic and richer. Well, the scene from the wedding, what I thought was really neat was that he said to add a sense of reality to the wedding scene, and because they only had 2 days to shoot the whole wedding, okay, he said he had the cast, which the background people, told them to act out and improvise. What they would do at a typical wedding. How would you react? How would you act? And so they're already dressed, so they were able to just be themselves, basically, and he let them do it, and look how good it turned out.
Yeah,
You know,
it turns out so well. You have
I know, amazing.
there's a discussion where Pacino reflected, I think it was in the 45-year anniversary, where
Mhm.
him and Kay are sitting at the wedding set, and they're just talking, and they're like, all right, well, we've done our lines. We just wait for everything else to get filmed, and fuck it, we made the worst movie ever. They thought they were in a bomb of a film. They
Oh,
really did that.
really?
Yeah. He thought like they just told us to act like we were married or we were going out with each other. Just act like we were ourselves in these outfits and just pretend we're at a wedding. So I'm gonna go grab some more food and I'm gonna get you some more wine. But this movie sucks.
Yeah.
That's what they thought at the
Well, a lot of
time.
them probably did, not realizing what a classic this movie was going to turn into. And I guarantee you, after this movie came out at the movie theater, they were all bragging about getting to be in it. Every single one of them. And
Every single one.
their kids and their grandkids are talking about it now. Hey, my grandmother was in this movie. My grandmother was a background or whatever, a stand-in or whatever, a caterer. I mean, anything that had anything to do with this movie, because this movie, I'm telling you, in another 100 years, this will still be a movie that people talk about because of its authentic, uh, I don't know, authenticity, I guess, of how it seemed so authentic and real.
Mhm.
Like you were saying, it's typical of some families and the way that they treat each other. Even today, just like you said, when you have to court the women, you have to get permission from the parents, and you have to have supervision so that nothing naughty happens before the wedding, that type of thing. I wish we had more of that. It's like I said, when I had four sisters, and our date, we'd have to be home before, it was either 11 or midnight, depending on our age. And when we pulled up in the driveway, we weren't allowed to sit out in the car for, more than 10 minutes. That was it. The light would start flickering on and off on the front porch. We better get our ass in or we're grounded. So, just little things like that, you know, I think I wish more parents would push their children to have, because this is all you have. you know it's who you are, and you're in your body. Basically, when you're a teenager, you don't own property. You don't, everything's owned by your parents. So the only thing you can have any control over is yourself. So make other people look at you and say, that's someone that I would want to be friends with, or I'd want to date, because they're respectable. They're somebody that other people might want to date, that type of thing. Instead of saying, oh, that, you take her out, she gives good head, or that the whispering in the background, which I heard a lot of because I was a tomboy. So I was like, I ain't dating none of these guys from this school. So I didn't have that problem. But, um, I don't know. I just wish they'd bring back more of this type of family values. I wish everybody did that, and defended your brothers and sisters, like the brother, when he found out, he went over to see his sister and she's all beat up. All he wanted to do is kick that guy's ass. And she's begging him, don't kill him. She loves him, even though he's beating the shit out of her. Oh,
How old was his though?
Irritating to me.
That's completely why. That's completely why we have cops that will fucking roll their eyes and putter away to a domestic violence situation 30 miles per hour below the speed limit because they'd rather those two people just kill each other. And that way,
I
when
know
I
it's
get there,
because I have people in my own family, okay, that have gone through that, and it's like a syndrome, and it is, and you should go through therapy because you do think it's your fault. You feel like if I was prettier, if I wasn't chubby, if I was a better cook, if I cleaned house better, you start blaming yourself because you're thinking, it's got to be something I'm doing because I keep making him mad. Okay, that's what you're thinking. So you constantly, changing your perfume. You're doing everything to try to make sure you don't make him mad. I don't want to be too much perfume or too much or too little perfume. If my hair is not just right, all that. So you're constantly, don't know how to react because you're worried that anything you do is going to set this person off because you're doing it wrong. And that's a person that needs therapy after being in that type of relationship. And I felt really bad for her. And she was the perfect actress for that. I hate to say that, but this time watching it, I kept thinking, Adrian, in the background. I couldn't help it because, Rocky was a big movie and she was a big actress in that. But
I remember when Rocky hit HBO, and HBO had its little magazine that would give you a schedule every month. If you were subscribed to HBO, you had your own little TV guide for HBO. And here's Rocky, and they're talking more about Talia Shire, who starred in The Godfather and The Godfather 2,
yeah,
and not really talking so much about Sylvester Stallone, who he directed and did all the fight choreography and editing for Rocky 1, and he wrote Lords of Flatbush, and he did some other movie, and he also did the Italian Stallion, which you guys should never watch unless you're going to watch it together, and that way we can all laugh at once whenever a young Sylvester Stallone comes out with his hard dick, because it's about as softcore porn as it gets, and it's got frontal nudity. If you want to see what Sylvester Stallone looks like naked, the Italian Stallion is the way to go. I don't recommend that. My dad had these shirts. We had 3 shirts. They all said the Italian Stallion in the font of the movie, which I never knew that there was a movie about the Italian Stallion. And that's what it was about, was him being a sex pervert with his 2 female friends or something. I never knew it was like a light softcore porn made in 1969 or 70. But we wore these shirts in the 70s, and when I got to be, a decent size, where I could wear my dad's shirts, I was wearing it too. And people who knew would laugh at me. And I'm like, why the fuck is this shirt making people laugh? And they're like, you don't know? I'm like, no, I don't. And I didn't know about this until like 2009 when I finally decided to use a Google search for evil. And I'm like, Italian Stallion. And it has this movie with Sly Stallone. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this movie I've never seen before. And oh my God. So we may have to do that for one of these, a gorilla guy in a movie. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that to Janet. I'll keep it respectable. I'm just talking about this just so we're educating people here. But there's an actual movie with this. And it was a shock to me that my father, who held Bible study for decades, I don't think he knew about this movie until I informed him of this shortly after in 2009. I'm like, don't wear that shirt anymore. That shirt's torn up and it's got holes in it. We haven't used it for anything but washing the car for the past 5 years. Like, okay, you still got it? Yeah, burn it.
I remember one time I walked in and my parents, they were in the military, right? And we moved around a lot. And my mom would have like I don't know if if it's called pinochle or rummy or something like that, where there was these little dishes in the middle of the table and they played cards and they got money, real money. They played for real money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then my dad would have poker, in the other room where it was just all guys and they're all smoking like cigars and pipes and cigarettes and stuff. And we weren't allowed to go in there, except if they called us and asked us to bring like, a drink or things like that, then we would be allowed to. We thought that was so cool. We'd just sit and wait for someone to call us to go get something for them because it was so cool to get to go in there where the grown-ups are at. It was almost like a forbidden area or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I know it sounds stupid, but that when you're a kid, that's what you want to do. But I remember a couple times where my mom would say, take this in there with the guys, like a bowl of chips or, stuff like that. And I remember going in one time and right when I opened the door to go in, that's when I heard, turn it off or something like that. And I looked because it made me want to look. And it was, naked girls and stuff running around. So then I knew, oh, okay, that's why they don't want us in there because they're looking at naked women. And it was on the TV. So they were watching, movies while they were playing poker or whatever. But I remember that. So that's when I said, you don't want to go in there. They're doing naughty things in there. So I told my little sisters. So yeah, men are men, and I thought my dad was a good person, So
I'm pretty certain my dad didn't know about that movie.
okay, well,
I'm fairly certain. If
but
he did,
he bought the shirts, but he didn't know about the movie.
he bought the shirts because of the last name.
Oh, okay. Stallone.
No, Lombardo.
Oh, Lombardo. Okay. Okay. That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, my dad's like, Italian fan. Okay.
When he's an adult now, you can ask him, hey, Dad, did you know this or not? And see what he says. He might shock you.
I'll have to do that next time we talk. Probably tomorrow. But it's just a funny thing. And this movie, like Stallone applied, he auditioned for it as well as Carlo and a couple other roles, but it didn't work out for him. And he directed and wrote some other movies, and then he did Rocky in '74. So his life came out pretty good. And as far as Hollywood's concerned, I'm not a big super fan of Stallone, but I gotta say in his defense, Sylvester Stallone is probably one of the best people. He's one of the best people in Hollywood because not only does he direct and star in movies, but he also does fight choreography. He does his editing. He does shot composition and works really close with the director of photography if he doesn't do it himself.
Uh-huh.
He's really the all-rounder for a film. You got a bargain when you had him on your films. Hey, Flatey,
Yeah.
how you doing? Just recognized Flatey's in chat. Sir, I hope you're doing well. Missed you last week.
Nice to meet you.
But Stallone is a really good fit for Hollywood. He does really good work in front and behind the camera. The only thing I'm going to say elsewise on that is that the list of people that were the studio wanted in this movie is kind of big. They even wanted Elza Kazan, I believe, Elia Kazan, and they wanted to replace Coppola with them because Kazan would work with a notoriously difficult Marlon Brando. And Marlon's like, fuck you, I'm not quitting unless you get rid of Coppola. If you get rid of Coppola, I walk too. I'm out.
Yeah.
And so the brass at Paramount's like, I don't get it. We thought Kazan would be the magic pill, but Brando was pissed because Kazan did his testimony in '52 before the House Un-American Activities Committee. And there was a lot of people like Nick Nolte when Kazan got like a Lifetime Achievement Award. Nick Nolte was there in the auditorium just glaring at him. I want to say it's 1999 or 2000 when that happened. And just Nolte's like got his own agenda. He's got his own things. I don't agree with him on everything, but I agree beer is good. The fact that he was like this just on camera looking and shooting daggers into Kazan the whole time this guy is getting this award and receiving it. And other people were standing up saying, oh my God, he's so brave. And, he had Kurt Russell and others in more of a pro America standpoint, clapping, saying we like Elia, we like the fact that he's doing this.
Yeah.
But Marlon Brando and Martin Scorsese handed Elia Kazan the award for lifetime achievement and a recognition for what he did back in the 1950s, which is what caused a bunch of more pro-communist people to just absolutely hate him. This is
Well,
all Hollywood history. It's separate from American history. Let them argue. Let them be their asshole selves. I hope they make good movies.
well, the scene where his son is talking to him because he wants to ask him questions, you know, because he's a smart son, because he trusts his dad when it comes to running the business. And he wants to hear what his dad has to say when he explains different situations to him. You know, that scene where they're outside and I think they're drinking wine or whatever. I think he might have, one was drinking wine, one was drinking beer or something. But the scene where you see him holding that cat in his lap and he's petting it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that one part says, yeah. He said the cat was a stray cat. It said during the day, his daily walks to the set, Coppola would often see a stray cat. And on the day of the shooting for that one scene, in the study and in the out in the yard part when they did those two scenes, he said he took the cat and he put it in his lap, in Brando's lap, and told him to improvise with it, just to see, you know, to make it more, you know, like he's learning to live a normal life. He's not the Don anymore, you know, that kind of feel, you know, like that he was trying to get. And he said the cat loved Brando so much that he would just sit in his lap during all the takes all day long. The cat just loved him. So little things like that, that his, for some reason in his mind, it was all, must have always been going, looking around, scoping to see what he could just take out of everyday life and put it into the scene, even though it wasn't called to be in there. You know, it wasn't through the prop department or anything like that. It was just something that just showed up and he just grabbed it, put it in, and it added a little reality to the scene, right? I thought that was genius. I mean, that just shows you what a great vision that he had as a director, to me, at least. When I'm reading some of these things in the trivia that I was able to find, I thought that was just, I don't know, I just thought it was really good. And the fact that Brando went along with a lot of it, you know, because he trusted him as a director to lead the scene and let him portray the character too. So that's good teamwork right there. And when you see that type of relationship between an actor and the director, you're going to have a better quality film. And that right there is proof. Some of these little things that I've been able to read is that the actors trusted him, you know, for his direction. That's why he's called a director. And man, I just think he was awesome. I'll set up for a minute and let you talk. But I just neat.
I love this movie in a lot of aspects. There's a lot of reasons why I don't really get tired of watching it. When you said let's watch it, I'm like, okay, let's put off Idiocracy for another month or two. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
And but this is a great movie to watch. It's a good time to be able to reminisce and talk about things. The attention to detail in this movie is so thick, by the way.
Yeah, the scene where the horse head, that was a real horse head. That wasn't a prop. So the guy,
but it was a real horse head. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. It wasn't a piece of rubber with fake blood put on it. Is what I meant as a prop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Rob Bottin was not part of this. No.
When he pushes the covers back, okay, and he's reacting to it. I mean, honestly, I think part of the reason why he was so realistic is because he realizes that's really a real horse's head. Okay.
He's smelling real blood.
Yeah, the smell in the room, and for all the people to be in there with them while they're filming, because it takes quite a few people. You know, you got the camera guys, you got the guys holding the lights or the microphones, a boom, the other people holding different things that they need to have for the director, and then you have the actors, you know, in there. So that's quite a few people in there. But they got the head was from a local dog food company that makes all that nasty stuff. It chops it up for your pet, and that when I read that, it almost made me gag when I was thinking about it, because I was like, that is disgusting. Because the people after we're done with the scene would have to clean all that up. It's pretty gross. And the guy was actually laying in the bed with it, a real head of a horse.
I'm
That's
I'm not
gross.
that disgusted about this. What I'm wondering is like I've slept through a lot in my life. Like there have been times where like there might be an earthquake or there
Yeah.
might be something going on outside,
Mhm.
but I've slept through it. I want to know what type of medical condition this guy had. What was Woltz's problem to where he didn't notice somebody bringing in a 22-pound horse head, opening
Probably weighed
the
more than 22 pounds. I mean, oh, just the thought of it. It's kind of gross. That was a
I,
pretty
I
big
want to
head.
know what type of medical condition is it? You are a heavy sleeper, or they crept in and just gave him the bottle of ether over his face to
Hmm.
keep him sedated and snoring off it happily. And then you have the painful realization, I'm waking up, I've got blood on my hands. What's
Yeah,
going
it was
on here?
gross.
And he's what's that smell? And you don't get to see the camera guy or the lights guy or the boom. You don't get to see their reactions, but they're in the same room with this guy in pajamas getting real horse blood all over him. I wanted
Yeah.
to I would love to have been able to like reverse the camera and just see like their face. How are they reacting as they're
Yeah,
in this
and he
room?
was a real good actor. I mean, in the scene before he finds the horse head in his bed,
Yeah.
he was great, playing a guy that was pissed off and fuck you. I'm not going to do what you tell me to do, and I don't have to do it, and I don't have to mind you. You guys aren't my boss or whatever type of thing. And him sitting at the table to eat the meal, like already knowing pretty much what the guy was going to say, but it was like a formality that he was there. And I thought that whole scene leading up to the horse head thing was really good too. It was a very good. Everybody did such a good job in all their parts for this movie. Every character they picked, I thought was great. That was a good
Well,
scene too.
it's just an amazing scene. The first act of this movie completely completely took the doors off, and the book is very much like that. That it just lets you see what organized crime is capable of doing, especially in a world that doesn't have nearly the amount of surveillance controls and surveillance state as the rest of us that we're living in hell now have. I feel this is one of the best movies that showcases what organized crime can do, and they would probably move to continue to have their activities disguised or obfuscated in modern times. I can only imagine. That's why we have hackers and some guy from Jamaica trying to email me something so I can like have something placed on my computer and they can have
You won the
money.
lottery. You won the
Yeah,
lottery. Something. Yeah.
yeah. I just
Mhm.
need three
That's
thousand
a shit.
dollars. I'll give you all 20 billion of this. Just John Marley, rest in peace, veteran character actor that played Jack Woltz in the Godfather film. I'm happy they didn't show everything that the book shows you about Jack Woltz because you get to see one like small scene in it, and this guy behaves a lot like Joe Biden around little kids. If that's all I need to say, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
But he's that much
okay.
of a dirtbag in the book. Later on in a subsequent scene, you see uh, you see the consigliere uh, kind of notice that this young girl is walking out of the office with her mom, and the mom is trying to console little daughter. Little daughter is walking very bow-legged, and here comes Jack out of the office. He just got done doing what Jack does.
Yeah.
The guy's a piece of shit. Okay,
Hmm.
so it all bad things happen to bad people. Understand that. And this is a book
Yeah.
that's fan service. Not everything, not all the time do you get such good books like this that get turned
But
into
the thing
movies.
I liked about it, about the okay, every person, I haven't met a person in my life, okay, that if something bad happened to their loved one, like they were murdered or a drunk driver took them out, running them over or crashing into their car, or their child was assaulted or killed, by a psycho or whatever. Every person I know wants revenge. They want to get even with this person. They want that person gone. Like that one guy that shot the guy they were bringing through the airport, right? Things like that, because we all want to make the person that's hurt someone we care about pay for it. Because usually our court system just goes bad, and that's about all the punishment they get, which is nothing compared to what they deserve. Because, my mom would say in the Bible, it says an eye for an eye, and I think we should have that right, is what my mom and dad would tell us. But so when they take that one guy out and they let him drive, he's driving out there, they think he's gonna be doing something else, and the guy takes him out in the back seat, but the other guy gets out to take a leak, that part.
Well, there's
And
a
then
woman that goes out to get a leak, and Paulie's sitting up there at the driver's seat, and then he receives two to the head.
Yeah, in the back of the head, basically. But when he comes back to the car, he tells the guy to drop the gun, leave the gun, and he said, "Get my cologne," or whatever. What is it? How you say that stuff? Cannoli. Yeah. Okay. That was ad lib. He didn't have to put that in there. But that's one thing I said about the director, is the fact that he lets the actors, say what they want if they feel like it's a natural act by the person that they're portraying. And a lot of it gets left in because he likes it. He likes the reality that they bring to the character by, just letting the character be who they feel that the character would be. You know what I mean? And I think that that's one reason why this movie was so good, because he let so many people have that opportunity to add this little things like that. And when you have enough of that added to the movie, it just adds to the overall whole script and story for the people like us watching it unfold in front of us that don't know what's going to happen. And you would know all these things. That's what's so interesting about going back and reading and getting to watch documentaries or whatever else that talks about the making of The Godfather, and things like that, and interviews with the actors that portrayed different characters in it. I just think he did a great job. I think Coppola was just a genius when it came to making this movie, for sure.
So it's one of this was one of my grandfather's favorite films for a very good reason. It just reminded him a lot of when he was growing up and the things that he did as a young man for people in his neighborhood, which there were elements of this crap in that neighborhood because it's the Bronx.
Yeah.
You expect to have that in Bronx and Brooklyn and even parts of Manhattan. But, you try to just get along with people. And if you're not on the radars of anybody, you're doing good. Don't try to make a name for yourself. Don't try to go for that big money payoff.
Yeah, don't make waves.
Don't make waves. That's the worst thing you can do. And it's just a very well put together film. And I think this is probably, as far as mafia films go, this is the start of the golden age of mafia movies, which didn't end until 1995, 96's Casino, which is another great movie. I mean, it's hard for me to pick like the best mafia film because you have so many, and like 2 or 3 guys are responsible for all the mafia films that people watch as guilty pleasures all the time. Godfather.
Yeah, Ocean's 11. Would you consider that a mafia movie?
I disregard that movie. I
don't really? I loved it. I thought it was great.
It's not a movie I watch. It's okay.
Have you seen it?
It's okay. Yeah, I've seen it. It's okay. It's not anywhere near Casino or Goodfellas or.
Well, I didn't say it was the same. I said, did you consider it a mafia movie?
I consider it a mafia film, but a very lighthearted. It's kind of like if Battlestar Galactica was a sitcom. I kind of look at it in the same aspect.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I can understand that because it is. It's nothing compared to this movie. This movie, even if I didn't know whether or not it won anything, if I watch this, I would think while I'm watching it, and then when it's done at the end, and you're like you're just so Just thought it was so entertaining and so good. You immediately think, oh my God, this is going to win an Oscar. That's the kind of quality that I felt when I watched this movie, and I still feel that way. I still feel like if it was put out right now, the way it is right now, and put it out to the movie theater, that it would be nominated for something because it's so good. It's just a phenomenal movie. It's just excellent.
And on
It,
that horse
all
head
the
scene,
little check marks.
on the horse head scene, that a freshly severed horse's head was used from a slaughterhouse in Jersey, but the
Mhm.
blood was not real. That actually was a prop.
Yeah,
The
but
horse's head,
still, I don't
still,
care. It's
yeah,
a real head.
yeah,
That's disgusting.
it's
Had
great.
eyes and everything, oh, it's just gross, the thought of it.
I,
Because when I first saw it, I thought it was scary enough, and I thought it was a prop. I wouldn't think it was a real head. All the animal rights people throwing a tantrum over it, oh,
yeah,
gross.
they couldn't make this movie today for
Mm-mm.
$10 million, and they couldn't make this movie today at
No
all.
way.
Really,
And
this
not in
was
60 days. There's just no way. In 60 days,
no.
they would not be able to make something at this high quality, with all these bases covered in that amount of time, period. I don't care if it costs them 300 million. They wouldn't be able to do it in 60 days.
I have a theory that a lot of old school directors, and I'll say the guys from like the glory days of Hollywood, uh,
Mhm.
Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg. I think those guys, Brian De Palma, I think they all read The Art of War. And The Art of War, it's not about beating the shit out of the bad guy, beating the shit out of the other person. The Art of
Mhm.
War is about moving your pieces on the chessboard and getting logistics down. That's the art of
Mhm.
war. By you getting your supply train set up and being able to out fucking supply your opposition, you're able to fucking get the time the time bandit will be beat. And these guys from back in the day, I think they did a severe amount of reading and study on the art of war, and they figured out how to maneuver all their pieces from casting to prop department to costuming to the like location scouting and all of that. I think they got so into the art of war that they were able to actually achieve something that today we can't. Because today
Mhm.
there's so many open. You go to make a movie, and there's a guy that says, "I need money for a permit,"
Yeah.
and I want to make a movie in over here. Well, I need money to get your train cars over in that location. Well, I need
Yeah.
money for that, and getting the supply chains properly to flow
Mhm.
is a bear. Just you people that are in our chat, just think how difficult it is for you to get your family anywhere. Now you're doing
Yeah.
it for people that are, they're getting paid for this and they're going to pay their note for this, but
Yeah.
they're having to stop their life processes to get your movie done. And that's
Yeah,
why,
because you got to remember, especially depending on how big each. Okay, they take the script and they break it down into small little scenes. Okay,
Mhm.
depending on the location, how many people are going to be in it, and all that different stuff. Then they have to have that set up and have the prop people make sure it's set up the way it looks like it's supposed to when he looks through the camera lens, right? And then you have to have the lighting people, you have to have the camera guy there with the batteries or whatever he's going to need, or the equipment, or like the little rails that put on the floor if he's going to roll it around, whether it's going to be handheld or whether he's going to be in a chair or on a ladder, all those different things. Then they have to have costume. They got to have the characters. They got to have or the people that's going to be in it. Then they got to have the makeup and hair people. Okay. Then you have all, if there's going to be the extras, in it, or if there's going to be stand-ins, sound people, all that stuff. And then you have to have catering, okay, to make sure that they have food and water stuff because who knows, depending on how long the the shoot's going to take, all that different stuff. That's a lot of people, even for a very small scene. Like one scene, you just like you said, they used to just film one direction and then they'll film the other direction, then they'll put it together. Well, today they'll film it from up the sides all the way around. It just depends on what the scene is and how many people are in it, that type of thing. And then you have to have editing and all that stuff later after all this part of it's done. It's just got a lot of work to just do one small scene, and it takes a lot of effort. And the more people you have involved, for continuity and everything, so that the editing is easier for the editor, because the person knows to keep the cup in the right hand. Even if you have to do 25 takes, the cup should always be in the right hand, because then you don't have to edit out all the parts where the person's swapping hands with the cup during the same scene and they're saying the same lines. There's just so many different, or their purse is on one shoulder and then it's on the other shoulder during the same line. I don't know. It's just ridiculous when they have to try to edit together. And that's why you'll find lots of mistakes, because the continuity person wasn't there to make sure that they were doing it. But one of the things I thought was interesting was, it said that that Paramount snatched up the movie rights to the book, the novel, before it even hit the shelves back in 1969. It was a savvy move, as the book spent over a year on the bestseller chart, with more than 9 million copies being sold. And that was before they even made the movie. The book was a hit. So they already had name recognition for the people that bought the book, that they would want to probably go see the movie. So that was smart.
I'm just amazed at how this movie was put together. And I have a picture of Leslie Hetland up there. This is a failure of a movie, okay? This is the lady that was what was that guy, Weinstein's best buddy, or
she was the armorer. She was the armorer for that movie Rust.
No, she was not. She was actually. This is the lady that's running Star Wars right now.
Oh, because she looks a little bit like that girl. That's who I thought it was.
Yeah. This lady doesn't understand logistics. She doesn't understand story composition, and she doesn't understand characters.
Is she a writer? This woman?
She's in charge of Star Wars, I believe, at this moment. Mm-hmm. She's the one person that KK is using as her main thrusting spear point to shove their agenda down the fans of Star Wars that still believe that Disney Plus wouldn't give us a bomb of a series. By the way, you guys, you're paying for Disney Plus. You're just perpetuating more and more bad things to happen. 10 years or 5 years from now, you're going to find out people that were involved with Disney Plus acting and behind the scenes shit were involved in a sex cult, or they were doing something to Bahamut or some other ancient Old Testament religious, not God figure, but some demon god or some pathetic lust for children.
Or whatever Moloch, they call it.
Yeah, Moloch, or these people here. She's complicit. She's okay with it. She was Weinstein's right hand girl, and this is a piece of shit that's ruining your favorite franchise from your childhood. She's part of the Hydra that's doing that. So just stop giving money to people like this and make your own fucking stories. Play your own games. Do the things that make you happy, but for fuck's sake, stop giving shitty people all your money.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I don't like giving my money away. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, there's not enough wood chippers. I mean, we could probably coat the entirety of Australia in fresh compost with the amount of dead Moloch worshippers that would go through a Vermeer wood chipper. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it happen too, because I'd like to live in a world without having kids be under threat. Did I say that loud? Yeah, I did. So I'd rather have that than what we're living through right now. This movie, perfect example of what you do when things run right. Mm-hmm. This is a classic in every event.
Well, this is exactly what I talk about a lot when I talk about having all the things, all the boxes checked off for a hit movie. When you have a person like a good director that says, I want to make this movie. Okay, what do I need to make this movie? Well, I'm going to need all these certain people, and then we'll get the actors. Because normally you have them, send them out, find locations, who's going to do the cars, depending on how big of a movie you're going to make and what kind of things you're going to have. Then you bring in who you want for the costuming and who you want for casting and who you want, the companies. You talk to all these people. And then once you have all that set out, then you trust them enough to let them do their jobs. They got a good casting company you worked with before. They're going to pick people that are going to. They don't pick them and say you're hired. What they do is they go through the list of the acting jobs that they need, and then they go through and pull people out that they feel that the director will like as that character, and then they send them to be looked at, and then the director either picks them or he doesn't. I've been in rooms where they had all the different characters set down. They'd have the names of the characters set on the floor in this giant room. And then they had all these folders all set in a long line. And they just walk by and go, no, nope, yes, no, like that. And then the ones that he liked, the assistant grabs up and then they call those people with the photos. Now, he doesn't know if they can act, but those people, by the look of what they look like, they'll be called in for their audition, that type of thing. So every director does things differently, especially like you'll hear these stories where the director is walking through the mall or he's at a restaurant or he's walking down the street and he looks across the street and goes, oh my God, that person looks just like the kind of person I need for this part. And then they'll go, and sometimes they'll pay to get them to have a couple acting classes or whatever. It just depends, they have a vision in their head, and or you can walk in and they look just like my ex-wife. Get rid of them. You say you just don't know. So you're stuck with whatever because the director's always right. It doesn't matter if anyone else agrees or not. The director gets what they want, unless they're overridden by, like I said, like a producer, one of the producers that's paying lots of money. They can come in and say, the director's not doing a good job. Just like you read on a few things that they were breathing down his neck on a lot of things. They were saying, we like this, we like everything you're doing, but we want this scene. We want to see him take out those two people. We want him to do it. You see, that type of stuff. So, sometimes the director has to, abide by what the producers are wanting, but that doesn't mean he can't do it his way. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's doing it, he's making the decision how it's going to be done. Even though it's going to be in there, but he's going to do it his way to get it in there, which I think is great. And he did do that. He stood up for what he believed and made the vision he wanted. And I think that and you can tell by watching this movie that he did a phenomenal job, that he knew what he was doing. And I would definitely want to hire him if I had the money because of the way he did it, and the way he put everything together, who he decided he wanted for these characters. I just thought it was awesome. Are you there? What are you looking at?
Oh no, I my wife came in, so I muted my mic. Okay. So this is a movie that's just landmark in cinema. If you've not seen The Godfather yet, I want you to. I do. Mm-hmm. If you've seen The Godfather, go ahead, give us your scores. I'll have Janet read them off. I'll star them, and we'll have everybody that's got an opinion on this movie have a voice. And I want you to, this person, Janet?
No, I was just trying to find him.
No. This person right here is asking for assistance.
Yeah, I don't know them. So I was going
to. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know who it is.
Sorry, Mohammed.
I've never seen him before.
I don't have money. Thank you so much, though, for trying.
But yeah, I don't see him in mine. I'm trying to find him.
Is he on mine? He might be in.
Yeah, he's on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at. Oh, I see it. I see he's on mine. That's why I got to go back to my thing. Sorry.
Okay.
No, I don't know who that is.
All right.
I don't recognize him.
We don't really do charity here. I don't even like super chats. I want my friends to give money to people that they know need help. And I don't know you. I don't know if you need help, but you're not one of my friends. Thank you. I know that
Yeah.
sounds terrible, but
Sorry. I'm over on mine. I don't see anything.
let me check my X real quick.
Is it X? Because I don't
Yep,
see
it's
what
on
it.
X.
Oh, it's on X. Okay, I'm totally. I
He's
gotta get
on,
it.
he's on your X.
Okay, he's on here.
Yeah, get that shit off screen.
Oh God, I don't know who this is. I'm not even following them. They're following me, but
Yeah, I noticed that. So,
uh, there. Hopefully
thank you.
that helps. We'll see if they get rid of them or not, because I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
Never seen them
don't know.
before.
I mean, for all I know, he's just another Jack Woltz character. Um, I think this is a fine film. I would recommend anybody that's just a fan of movies or they want to see modern day actors that play patriarchs or older mentor characters like
Mhm.
you're for some odd reason I couldn't think of Robert Duvall's name, but Robert Duvall was in one of my favorite modern movies called the wife is asking me another question here. Okay, he was in one of my more recent favorite movies called Secondhand Lions. And if you've not seen Secondhand Lions, that's a really good film. It shows you him just kind of opened up wide and just completely pulling off a Duvall performance you've not seen before. And you
Mhm.
probably haven't. But Duvall's an amazing actor. He's done great things and a lot of work. And it would be nice if you guys haven't seen him as a young man, watch this movie. This film that he does is fantastic. The guy is born in 1931. He doesn't have that much more time left, but this is a film that you would really enjoy. He also was in, I want to say he was in THX 1138. I'm not certain about that. Let me scroll back. Yeah, he was THX. He was the original guy, and so I mean he's got good ties to George Lucas, to Francis Ford Coppola. He's been in Hollywood for years, and he's been an actor since 1960 if that means anything to you guys. So he's been around the block. He's seen things. He knows things, and I think you guys would really enjoy this if you've
Mhm.
not seen it yet. I'm starring the comments here that are discussing that. I want you to see this film. For me, this movie is a 94 out of 100. It's a very good movie. It's a very good adaptation of a book that I love. The characters are well done. They're realized. The only thing I really didn't like was the very end of the movie. They sped up everything. In the book, Al Neary goes off. He's back. Al Neary goes off and he does Mauve Green over in. He didn't. You need to boot him, Janet.
I don't know how.
He's on your X.
I know, but I don't know how to boot them off X. I
Well,
don't. I've never done it before. So I'm sorry. You guys are just going to have to read it, or I don't know how to get rid of him. I blocked him from my ex, but I don't know how he's even able to even get on here.
I just want to get rid of this guy.
Sorry.
Anyway, well, Robert Duvall is just a good actor, and if you want to see him in a younger film, THX 1138 is good. This is a great movie. This is probably the best movie he's done in all of
Yeah.
his years. He's been in a lot of like 85 and up, 85% and higher movies throughout the whole time. He's been in Hollywood. He's done some stinkers, I will say that, but this is one of the movies that really he made his bones in, and I think this movie is a fantastic display of him as an actor, and you get to see Al Pacino as a very young man. He looks really weary in the last third of the film, but they do that to try to show the age between 1945 when he's a young man out of the army and the 5 years he's been working around his family. So
Hmm.
they do a good job. Uh, they don't really go too much into Al Neary. The book goes into Neary quite a bit, and then the book also really dives hard in the first and third act into Johnny Fontaine. Johnny Fontaine in the book is a tremendously big character, and it's such a good good time. If you have the time to read the book or do the audiobook for The Godfather, I completely recommend this. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Janet.
What I was going to say, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say about it, was the fact that for me, for this movie, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's my rating, because it was really hard to find. There was a few little things that I didn't really like about the movie, but that doesn't mean that it didn't belong in the movie. It's just that I didn't prefer, like I didn't really like her character being so boring. You know what I mean? So humdrum, and why someone like him that could have pretty much any woman he wanted from the city, picking that one, that type of thing. Little things like that. That was it. But everything about the way the director worked to make this movie come to life, I can't really find any flaws with that. And the fact that the editing did a phenomenal job, because it seemed flawless, that it hummed along like, like a story unfolding in front of you, basically. And it looked like every dime that they spent to make this movie, which was wasn't very much. It was like 6 million.
7.2 at the most.
Yeah, very low amount of money. And
well, not including the marketing, which is probably boosting up to 8 million.
Yeah, but the fact that it was such a small amount of money, and it was filmed in New York, right? Almost all of it.
Oh yeah.
And how many actors were actually in it, how many cars they had to use, just all the details that they put into it. It's amazing to me that it was so cheap. I don't know how they got away with making it so cheap. But the thing is, he just did a great job at working with what he had. Like, just like I said, like putting the cat in the scene and letting the background actors and some of the other actors just be themselves, basically act themselves. And it made it more real. I mean, it was rich with culture. You just felt like you really were stepping into their time and their culture. I don't know. I just thought it was just wonderful. I just thought every aspect of everything he did, all the way down to the outfits everybody wore, the hairstyles that people had, just all that. And the food they were eating. There was so much food in this movie. I mean, everybody was eating all the time. It seemed like everyone ate something, almost every scene, it seemed like. But it was just really, really well done. I mean, this was one of the highest grades I've given any other movies, because I gave Tombstone a high grade too, and The Great Raid, even though I know you didn't give them as high as I did. But to me, The Great Raid was just one of my favorite movies ever, and I thought they were very meticulous on everything they did in that movie too. And this one's one of my highest rating ones, because it's just such a classic with every aspect that you can think of covered. Filled in all the gaps. There's no puzzle pieces missing, and they were all put where they belong. So I loved it. That was great.
If you could read what I just highlighted there.
Okay, just a second.
It's on main screen.
Yeah, it's 85 to 90% out of 100 easily. Yeah, I agree, 100%. I'm a 90% myself. Gold standard for mob films. You can ick it apart and find toms to talk about.
Tons.
Oh, it says it's an M, but that's what he meant. Tons.
Yeah,
okay.
You can pick it apart
Yeah,
and find
you can. Anyway, you can find something wrong with any movie, period. But this one he did. The director just did a phenomenal job. There might have been an actor here or there that didn't, meet up to what we felt in a scene, maybe. But the fact that he had his hand in every aspect of what went on in this movie, and you could tell that he loved this book. He loved this story and wanted to see it come to life up on the big screen. And you could tell, because he put everything into this. I thought it was great. I thought it was excellent. I could watch this every month, take 3 hours out of my month every month and watch this movie and not get bored of it. It's just got so much in it. So much exudes from every crease and crevice of this movie. It's so good.
I
We
can't.
want to do Secondhand Lions too, aren't we?
We will. That's coming up.
So
Yeah. Okay. So I think
my
I
little
think
tidbit.
there's other things I want to talk about this film. I don't know if you know a lot of the actors that are in it. If you've done any personal work with them, I mean, a lot of these people are past their prime, retired or past.
Not really. I mean, the only one he's not in this movie. I mean, there's a few of them I knew, I've heard about, people talked about him, but no, I never. I've done stuff with Robert De Niro and some other people like that, but nobody in this movie that I recognized.
Cazell played Fredo, and actually in the book they did a good job of describing him. John Cazale has the physicality that you see kind of in the book about Fredo. He's got the perfect perfect actor. Like the casting agent did some serious work. They went and they got everybody properly placed. This is a very good actor for the part, just physicality speaking wise. He did good. It's just that John Cazale wasn't a great actor per se. He's good at what he did. I'm not going to take that away from him, but he there's a few scenes where he's a little kind of robotic. I hate to say that, but I think his performance was about a 7 out of 10. I'm not going to say it was 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, but he 7 out of 10. He did good. There's a room for improvement, and this guy he did a really good job with it. Talia Shire probably is my least favorite part of the movie because I just can't stand her character because she's that plays the damsel in distress. She's the impetus for the first act scene. Everybody comes together for her because they're marrying her off, and it's kind of interesting, how that all starts. And even at the first scene in the movie, like you get to see her future husband's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty plain to see, and every time, like the other aspect of this movie that anytime you see oranges or the color orange in this movie, something not good is going to happen.
Oh, I didn't notice that. See, now that's something I'll have to look for the next time I watch it.
Every scene with oranges in this movie, watch it, because violence is coming, or misadventure or injury is coming.
Yeah. I didn't notice.
Mispronounce anything. Just tell people.
But I did notice it seemed like through the whole movie, his character had a black eye or something.
Pretty accurate. That's
so
pretty legit.
I wonder if he hurt himself while filming, because there was a show that oh, never mind. I'm not going to mention it. Let's say there was an actor that had had an accident and was all bruised up, and they stopped filming for 3 weeks while this person healed up. So, because he didn't look like that in the.
I actually think the bruises, the scars, the injuries on Michael are intentional because they wanted to showcase that he wasn't afraid to get dirty.
Yeah.
And
well, he was a military guy. That's what that one cop said when he was telling his boss, hey, I don't want to do that. He's a war hero, So he had some, he was a decent cop, but he was just being run by a crooked cop. See? Mm-hmm. So, I like that whole aspect of the vision that they showed you of how, the police officers were all pulled off his dad, and just for the fact that he showed up is the reason why his dad didn't get shot and killed that night, that type of stuff. And I liked, there was one thing that I didn't like so much about the movie was the fact that you didn't get to see more turmoil between the brothers, especially when uh, Michael was picked above others, when he was the youngest. Stuff like
Well,
that.
okay, Fredo being the middle child, he he was weak. He didn't have conviction to do things. When his daddy was attacked in broad daylight at a fucking marketplace to pick up
Hmm.
fruit, the fucking
Yeah.
kid dropped the gun, and all he did was sit by his daddy's body and cry. And it makes it sound like Fredo is one of those guys that he needs blue pills to function
Yeah.
throughout the entire book.
Hmm.
Like it holds no punches from Fredo whatsoever. Fredo is completely incapable of having a moment of passion without assistance. And every time that he is bringing around girls or around girls, it's never really for him, but it's so he can look good for others. But yet, in the exposition of dialogue, you have everybody describing how Frito fucks up everything by he's got an eye for the ladies and he spends more time trying to pursue pussy and the family tradition of acquire power, get money, worry about bitches later. And that's the entirety of Fredo. And Fredo even makes that statement like, I was skipped over, Michael. This isn't fair. And in the book and in the film, you get to see the contrast of their characters, and you know why Michael was chosen by Vito to run the family. Because as much as Sonny would have been a really good, aggressive leader, he would have brought the heat down the family. He would have probably made a lot more problems for the family than what would have been worth. And it would have fallen apart under his leadership. Frito, just throw him out to fucking Las Vegas. We'll deal with that later.
Well, yeah, I understand that. We could see that. But the person that's getting pushed to the back or to the corner or kicked to the curb, is it going to be happy and just accept it? You know what I'm saying?
If and that's a weakness on his character fault because
Hmm.
he doesn't understand that he is his own destruction. He's the reason why he can't cook. He's the recipe ingredient that doesn't work well in the mixing bowl.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't
he's the
oil and
problem.
water don't mix.
He's a well-written character.
Hmm.
I like his character. I don't like him personally, but as a character that functions within the script and the movie and the book itself, Frito is necessary because he helps provide a bridge of incompetence from Sonny over to the promised land of what Michael can do for the family.
Yeah.
Like that, he provides a very good contrast of the various aspects of the Corleone. He embodies the weakest aspects of humanity in the Corleone family, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
that's just my opinion, and I'm not a super study on the Godfather movies or book. I'm just going on what I recall from the book because I haven't read it in almost 20 years. But I watch the movie probably about once every 2-3 years. It's a very very good film, and this movie should be followed up. For those of you that are interested, we'll be doing a Godfather Part 2 viewing probably around January of next year, God
Okay.
willingly, with my good health. But I'm looking forward to that because I want to see the Godfather Part 2, and I want to discuss it with Janet and see exactly how her opinions are on this.
Hmm. Okay. Sounds good. Because we're like getting booked up, aren't we, for
Yeah,
this
pretty
year?
much. I mean, we're not quote unquote booked up, but we're getting closer to it. Now on next week, and
Hmm.
here's where I advertise our service for next week. Next week we watch the 2005 classic Idiocracy. We're
And
finally gonna watch
who
it.
stars in that one?
I laugh because I can't recall off the top of my head.
Is it Michael Keaton?
No,
Oh, What one is he in? That one's the one.
You're thinking of Multiplicity.
Oh, okay, yeah. So no, I
This-
haven't seen this movie then.
I'm talking about Idiocracy, and this is
I
a
haven't
movie
seen it.
with Luke Wilson, Maya Rudolph, Dax Shepard, directed by Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, I have not seen this movie. That's coming out.
Oh, we're going to watch it. This is a fine time for you to catch up with the rest of us, because this is the best documentary of our current America.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be watching some other movie that like a 2-part documentary.
We're going to be watching in the month of August.
Oh, okay. I didn't know when it was coming.
We're going to be watching a 2-part documentary called In Search of Tomorrow, which is about science fiction.
I'm excited about it because I haven't seen it either, but it looks
5 hours. It's 5 hours.
I know.
So we're doing it between two Sundays, and we're going to talk about it after each viewing. But we're going to do In Search of Tomorrow in August. I don't have the date set yet, but it'll be the 18th and 25th. Mm-hmm. I have to move
before I leave, right?
Yeah, I have to move some stuff around because your schedule, July 7th, we will not be doing Screamers. We'll have to set that for later during the Dan O'Bannon Happiness Month. Because
wait a minute, let me look at my thing again. Hold on, I gotta move everything. Because I'm leaving on, I won't be here for the 24th for the game or the 31st, and I'll miss the 25th and the 25th is what I'm going to miss, and then I'll miss the 1st of September, our show. But all the other dates I'll have open. Because I thought I sent them to you. I wanted to make sure.
We'll get it squared away, and we're going to be watching that. Now, I want to have a series where we study Dan O'Bannon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said that the other day. Dan
O'Bannon is the more I delve into the movies with you, the more his name keeps popping up. Now, at first I thought I was going to do a Walter Hill appreciation series because Walter Hill did Alien and Warriors and a bunch of other really good movies. But Walter Hill did not do Alien. That instead went to Ridley Scott. And Dan O'Bannon was selected to work on Alien because of a movie he did with John Carpenter in '74 called Dark Star. And he's no longer with us. He's always had medical issues. He died in 2009. But he's one of the primary writers and character writers for a lot of our favorite films we've watched in the past. I can't get a hold of Bloodbath. I need to try to find that. That's a short he did. Then he did Dark Star with John Carpenter. Then he wrote the screenplay and story for Alien. Then he did Phobia and Dead and Buried. And then in '81, he did the original story and the segment called Soft Landing for Heavy Metal, one of my favorite cartoons of all time. Not my favorite cartoon of all time, but it's up there. He also was involved with the Blue Thunder movie and TV series. Then he did Return of the Living Dead. In '85, he also did a screenplay called Life Force, which many of my friends say is one of the greatest movies for vampires of all time.
Who starred in that one?
Life Force?
Yeah. I think I saw that.
Yeah. It's got Matilda May, Steve Railsback, Peter Firth, Frank Finlay, Pat Stewart from Star Trek The Next Generation, Michael Gothard, Nick Bell, and Aubrey Morris. Also, John Hallam plays.
I don't know if I've seen that now that you said all those names, because I'm like, I don't think I have seen that.
I think you have.
Is it with aliens?
Yeah, it's space vampires.
Okay, I'll have to see the trailer or whatever and see if I did see it.
That's one of the stills from it. Great special effects.
I haven't seen it. I have not seen that movie.
This girl here is
Thinking of another movie called Life Force.
Life Force. She's mostly the first act topless and mostly naked,
Mhm.
but it
And she's a vampire.
absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen this movie, so it's another new movie I haven't seen. No, I have not seen this.
Yeah, this is the poster for it. It's supposed to be a good film. I haven't seen it all the way through yet.
But I love sci-fi and I love vampires, so I think it's right up my alley for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think I've seen it.
Then he wrote the screenplay for Invaders from Mars, and then he was part of the character creation for Aliens because he wrote up Ellen Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
Then he did the story and screenplay for Total Recall.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrote
That's
Total
some
Recall
good movies.
and Second Variety in the early 80s. He gets a check in the mail for this, and they did a little bit of touch up on the script for from his early work. He did Alien 3 stuff for the characters and video game, got a check for that. He got checks for Alien vs. Predator video games in 94. In 95, they turned Second Variety script into the movie Screamers, which is one of my favorite low-budget movies of all time, which is just fun. And then Alien Resurrection, he got another check. And then deleted scenes for Alien, the outtakes. He gets all these checks for these movies that I really enjoyed. Alien,
Prometheus. I saw that.
Total Recall, the crappy one with Colin Farrell. He got more checks for Alien franchise stuff, and that's all he's been getting checks on, or his family's been getting checks for that because he started the entire Alien franchise. Mm-hmm. He's responsible for it. So we're gonna have a Dan O'Bannon appreciation month. What?
I said I hope he keeps getting checks.
Yeah, I mean, and he even did a little bit of work. He was a helicopter loudspeaker officer in Return of the Living Jet. He was pinned back in Dark Star, and apparently there was an Alien interview in 1989. I don't know. Oh, I have seen that. Okay. Anyway,
is it a documentary?
Area
like a documentary?
Yeah, it's a documentary about aliens and UFOs, the reenactments of alien interviews. It's got a real video of an alien being interviewed by a government official, but like it's not really an interview. This alien dies on camera.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. I'll have to watch it. Man, that's a lot of stuff I haven't seen. That's what I said. I'm amazed how much I haven't seen. It's great though, because it gives me something to do.
Oh, let's see. I'll have to find it for you. We'll show it to you next time. But this is it's just an interesting, grainy video from the 80s where this guy trying to talk to an alien, trying to get words out of it, and then the alien just slumps over, and doctors and nurses rush in. But because they don't have alien physiology textbooks and training in college, it dies. Yeah. And it's funny because William Strieber said, either this was a really good fake video or this is a video that we shouldn't be showing the public. Anyway.
Well, how'd you get it?
Hey, Jackie Blue's in here. How are you, Jackie Blue?
Somebody leaked it? Oh, hello.
Life Force video game rocked. I haven't played that. Yes, everybody knows Matilda May for those. Absolutely. They never called
Matilda May?
That alien if it only would have been wearing a mask.
Who's Matilda May?
She's the actress from Life Force.
Oh.
She's the
the little one with the girl.
She's a 5'4", 5'6" tall lady with great boobs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was not impressed with the boobs on the girl in The Godfather when I got to see them.
They were nice. They were just small, and that's the typical.
They just looked like the bottom half of them was missing. I don't know. They just looked weird. Like she never wore a bra the whole time she had boobs or something. I don't know.
She never had
Interesting.
to. They just,
Wow.
she never had a 30-year-old year like you did. She didn't have that
Well, the
year.
thing is that you want them to look straight ahead, not look down to the ground. And when you
No.
don't wear a bra, that's why they look down to the ground.
Yeah.
Even if they're little, they're going to look down to the ground if something doesn't hold them in place because of gravity. That's what happens. And she was young to have gravity already affecting them, which was sad. Unless that's just how hers looks. Sorry, I can't help it. I don't see lots of boobs besides my own.
It's all right. So anyway, here's something I want to leave on a positive note. Here's the man receiving his medal. He bites it. It's real. Gets the wine, shoots it everywhere. Fuck the world. The originals, Star Wars prequels, Rogue One, Andor, the Ewok movies, Holiday Special, The Acolyte.
Oh. Yes, I am a boobtologist. I've had them for a long time. Real ones that I grew on my own in my own garden. That's one thing I was thinking about, all these people that are getting boobs put on, all these guys, because they have a fantasy that they can play with boobs whenever they want. So now they can once they get, boob job. If you think about it. Sorry to go to wreck the car off the cliff.
Right. So Janet's a boobologist, and we will see you guys next week. Come join us in Discord to help us watch Idiocracy. We prefer you guys be on mute. No offense, I want to hear the movie. Whenever we have a good laugh, go ahead and laugh, clap, or whatever. But I don't need to hear your mom or your aunt or like your washing machine rattling. I love you guys, but I put it on for the movie. If we want to have a bitch session, we'll have a bitch session afterwards. We can do that. But I want you all
see
to
you guys.
Prefer my ladies to have a cross between a windsock and Wonder Woman's lasso for breasts. Really makes them develop character.
A windsock and a Wonder Woman's lasso. I don't understand. I guess it's like a rope that they can throw or something to grab you and bring you back.
That'd be funny if you could like lob a boob out there and have a man attached to your areola.
Yeah, but the thing is, you could do hacky sack. You could throw it behind your shoulder and then bring it back and kick it with your foot and kick it back over your shoulder again. If you don't wear a bra over a while, I mean, that's what my mom always said. We would watch those nature shows, and there'd be all them women that go braless, from the islands and stuff. And she'd say, "See, this is why it's important to wear a bra. You don't want your boobs to look like that." So we always did. We always wore bras. So I'm glad.
Thank you for joining me and Janet. We'll see you all again next week. Maybe we'll throw some shorts out there. Anyway, guys, talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.